Akutir devahutischa prasutiriti visrutaha Maitreya uvacha. Satarupayam, in his wife Satarupa, Tisaha, three of writing commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam as the Bhaktivedanta purports. By His grace, we have finished 3 cantos already, and we are just trying to begin the 4th canto. By His divine grace, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, who began this Krishna consciousness movement of Bhagavad Dharma 500 years ago, and through His grace, let us offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis, and then let us offer our obeisances to Radha and Krishna, the spiritual couple who enjoy eternally in Vrindavan with their cowherd boys and damsels in Vrajabhumi. Let us also offer our respectful obeisances to all the devotees and eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord. In this 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 31 chapters, and all these chapters describe the secondary creation by Brahma and the Manus. The Supreme Sri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev ki Jai. The Supreme Lord Himself does the real creation by agitating His material energy, and then, by His order, Brahma, the first living creature in the universe, attempts to create the different planetary systems and their inhabitants, expanding the population throughout his progeny, like Manu and other progenitors of living entities, who work perpetually under the order of the Supreme Lord. In the first chapter of this 4th canto, there are descriptions of the 3 daughters of Swayambhuva Manu and their descendants. The next 6 chapters describe the sacrifice performed by King Daksha and how it was spoiled. Thereafter, the activities of Maharaj Dhruva are described in 5 chapters. Then, in 11 chapters, the activities of King Prithu are described, and the next 8 chapters are devoted to the activities of the Pracheta kings. As described in the first verse of this chapter, Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters named Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Of these 3 daughters, 1 daughter, Devahuti, has already been described along with her husband, Kardama Muni, and her son, Kapila Muni. In this chapter, the descendants of the first daughter, Akuti, will specifically be described. Swayambhuva Manu was the son of Brahma. Brahma had many other sons, but Manu's name is specifically mentioned first because he was a great devotee of the Lord. In this verse, there is also the word cha, indicating that besides the 3 daughters mentioned, Swayambhuva Manu also had 2 sons. Om Ajnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Sarakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So I would like to recall also what Srila Prabhupada wrote at the very beginning of this Srimad Bhagavatam, that in the preface, Srila Prabhupada writes, "We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins therefore with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janma Dyasya Yataha, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the respiritualization of the entire human society. And in this way, Srila Prabhupada took up this great endeavor. He is telling this is a Herculean task. That means very, very difficult, and it takes a lot of time, endeavor, and so on. So despite all his other activities, Srila Prabhupada was fully dedicated to render this Srimad Bhagavatam into English language. This is the first edition in English of Srimad Bhagavatam that has now been made available throughout the world because of Srila Prabhupada's great endeavor and devotion. So as Srila Prabhupada offers his obeisances, first of all, to his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, who ordered him to preach the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In other words, to establish the Sankirtan movement throughout the world, especially in the English-speaking countries. So Srila Prabhupada thought that this Srimad Bhagavatam is a very essential part of the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya took this Srimad Bhagavatam as the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Amala Puranam is a spotless Purana, and is especially suitable for the people of Kali Yuga who have no access to the original Vedas, which they, most of them are not fit to enter into. Even if they try to understand, they cannot understand. Many Western scholars also try to make comments on the original Vedas, but they could not actually understand the meaning of the Vedas. So the meaning of the Vedas is made available easily for the people of Kali Yuga in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra is the explanation or the essence of all the Vedas. All the Vedic literature can be said to be Nirnaya Shastra, and Vedanta Sutra is Nirnayaka Shastra, that is, that gives the proper meaning and understanding to the whole Vedic literature in a short form. Now the short sutras of Vedanta Sutra also can be easily misunderstood by the people of Kali Yuga because of their atheistic mindset and under the influence of the Mayavad philosophy, mostly those who call themselves Vedantists, they are mostly Mayavadi. That means they are godless. They deprive the supreme absolute truth of all qualities, all activities, and therefore they make it completely just like a dumb, lame, and deaf. In this way, they have no understanding of the supreme absolute truth. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that in the 10th chapter, 6th sloka, Maharshaya Saptapurve Tadvaro Manavas Tata Madbhava Manasa Jata Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha. The 7 great sages, and before them, the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me. Lord Krishna says, Madbhava, they come from me, born from my mind, Manasa Jata, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. So this is the proper understanding of the world population. How did it begin? What is the origin of this world? Should be clearly understood that it is from Krishna himself, as he tells very clearly to Arjuna. The Srila Prabhupada comments that the Lord is giving a genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the original creature born out of the energy of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Hiranyagarbha. And from Brahma, all the 7 great sages, and before them 4 other great sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar, and the 14 Manus are manifested. All these 25 great sages are known as the patriarchs of the living entities all over the universe. There are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe, and each planet is full of population of different varieties. All of them are born of these 25 patriarchs. Brahma underwent penance for 1,000 years of the demigods before he realized, by the grace of Krishna, how to create. Then from Brahma came Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar, then Rudra, and then the 7 sages. And in this way, all the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are born out of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma is known as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and Krishna is known as Prapitamaha, the father of the grandfather. That is stated in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 39th sloka. So in this way, as Prabhupada mentions in the preface of this Srimad Bhagavatam, that now there is attempt to unite the entire world population as the communication becomes easy, going from one place to another, and so all the people of the world are coming together in this way. So how to establish unity in the world? There should be a proper understanding, not by economic exploitation, as has been done in many cases, but by proper spiritual understanding. If the world is united, that should be on the basis of a spiritual knowledge and not as a basis for exploitation in a material sense. So in this way, there can be only peace and prosperity in the world. Isa vasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatam jagat tena tattena bhunjita ma krida kasva siddhanam. This is also Srila Prabhupada in the Upanishad many times quoted as the basis for human unity amongst all human beings. We have to recognize that everything is coming from the single source of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna is the origin of everything, as quoted as the first sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadyasya yatunvaya ditadatasya avidyaswarat. The origin of everything is the Supreme Lord, who is completely independent and all-powerful. So when in New York City, which is the seat of the United Nations, all the Prabhupada followers, they had printed a pamphlet called Who is Crazy? Who is Crazy? So they took that pamphlet and they went to have a kirtan in front of United Nations building in New York. They could not have access inside, so no problem. They had a kirtan outside the building. So what Prabhupada felt was that United Nations in organizations that is meant to unify, to unite the entire population of the world. All the different countries all together, come together and discuss the problems of the modern world and try to find some solutions and improvement. So when Srila Prabhupada saw in front of the United Nations building all these different flags, each flag stands by one interest. So as there are 80, 90, 100 flags every year, no number of flags may increase. So in this way, there are more than 100 separate interests. So instead of looking for unity, actually, from the very beginning, every nation stands by its own interest. In this way, there cannot be unity. So unity can come only when we recognize our common Father. If we want to call ourselves brothers and establish a brotherly friendship between all nations, that means we have to recognize the common Father, Lord Krishna. Otherwise, there is no point in having any meeting if we do not, from the beginning, accept the common Father. Another time, Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, and he was invited to a global summit of religions in South America. And so one of the organizers of the International Meeting of Religions came to Srila Prabhupada and told him that you are a religious leader, you have centers in different countries and so many followers. You kindly attend and participate in this meeting. We'll be very happy to have your participation. So Srila Prabhupada heard this invitation, and he told that, will you accept Krishna as the father of all living entities, who is the source of all of us? If we accept Lord Krishna, then I will come and I will make my presentation. So, of course, they will not accept. So all the religions, just like the different countries, they are trying to have unity, and all the different religious leaders, they have their own dogmas, and they also try to come together just like that for time pass, but they cannot establish unity because they cannot accept. They are so blind and so foolish that despite all evidence, they don't want to accept Krishna or Vishnu as the great-grandfather of the whole population. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada had the very clear understanding that if this Srimad Bhagavatam comes to be accepted in human society, there will be a cultural, social, religious revolution, and in this way people will come together accepting Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God, the origin of everything. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was in Dhaka, he gave lectures on the first sloka Srimad Bhagavatam, Janma Jyasya Jataha, which is the first also sutra of the Brahma Sutra, or the second sutra. In 3 months, for 3 months, he gave lecture on the same sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first sloka. So it is, this knowledge is extraordinary. It is very blissful, and it has to be accepted and it has to be understood properly. So in this way, there will be a complete change in the whole human society. This is Srila Prabhupada's plan, and we should try to understand Srila Prabhupada's plan, and also the plan that is the same plan that Srila Prabhupada took from the predecessor acharyas, especially from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course starting from Srila Vedavyas, who is the incarnation of Krishna, literary incarnation. Srila Vedavyas wanted to give to the people of Kali Yuga, Stri, Shudra, Dvijabandhu, the proper knowledge so that they can achieve perfection. So this is especially suited for the age of Kali. So in this way, from Vedavyas onwards, and coming to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also who made this Srimad Bhagavatam as the main book to be understood, so that the proper knowledge should be accepted and life can be perfected by following principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. Many great scholars and acharyas gave commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and including Madhvacharya, Sridhar Swami, then in our Sampradaya also, Jiva Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami also, and Baladev Vidyabhushan. So in this way, we understanding the commentaries of the various acharyas, we can try to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. So as Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that for me, all these first progenitors of mankind have come. So that is the source of creation. Lord Brahma, and then from Brahma, afterwards, many other great sages, and then Manus. In his conversation with Sanatan Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the various types of avatars. And one type of avatar is the Manvantara avatar. That means the Manus. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And Manus are very pious. They are especially caring after the welfare, spiritual welfare of the human society, giving the important precepts as a Manu Samhita. So the Manu Samhita is given by the Manu. In the Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says that I taught this same Bhagavad Gita to Manu. I taught it to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan taught it to his son Manu. Oh, this may not be Swambhuva Manu. That was at that time Vaivasvata Manu, the seventh Manu in after by the middle of the day of Brahma. In this way, in 12 hours of Brahma, 14 Manus are there. They rule for 71 Mahakalpas. And then there is a complete, after the end of the 14th Manu, complete devastation, also under the order of the Supreme Lord. Everything becomes destroyed, annihilated, and come within the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then again, creation afterwards, after the night of Brahma. So in this way, since time immemorial, the same activities, the same scheme of creation is being enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the welfare of all living entities. The great sages, including, first of all, Lord Brahma, they gave the spiritual knowledge at the very beginning. And gradually, by Guru Parampara, the spiritual knowledge becomes spread throughout the universe through the agency of these great sages, including Manus. So Swayambhuva Manu, here in the first sloka, he had 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons. The 3 daughters are described in this sloka, Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti. And the 2 sons are Priyavrata Maharaj and Uttanapad Maharaj. These are the 2 sons of Swayambhuva Manu. So Devahuti already described by the end of the 3rd skanda, how she married Kardama Muni, and then Kapila was a son. And the Supreme Lord came as Kapila, as the son of Devahuti. She also begot 9 daughters. So all these personalities at the beginning are extremely pious. They are all devotees of Lord Krishna, and this is how devotion to the Lord is being spread gradually to all the generations throughout the world. So, Swayambhuva Manu to Satarupa. Satarupa is also daughter of Lord Brahma. In this way, the population is increased gradually. In this 4th canto, as Srila Prabhupada describes, there will be different topics, and the topics are that after this first chapter will describe the descendants of the daughters of Manu. There will be a description of the Daksha Yajna and how Daksha will have a dispute with Lord Shiva, and Sati will commit self-annihilation on the occasion of this yajna, because she was not invited, because Daksha did not like the presence of Rudra. So then again, throughout this 4th canto, there will be chapters describing the Dhruva Maharaj life story, the son of Maharaj Uttanapad, and then how he left his palace, and how he did tapasya under the advice of Narada Muni, how he had darshan of Lord Vishnu, and then came back home and became the ruler of the world for 36,000 years, and so on. So then again, there'll be the description of King Vena and then King Prithu. King Prithu was a very pious king who started to the economic or the agricultural development of the Earth planet, how he performed 100 horse sacrifices, and so on. So many different subject matters which are very enlightening and enlivening in this fourth canto. The main thing is that this description is given for us so that we can understand our ancestry. Sometimes people are very much eager to know their own ancestry. So they go 100 years, 200 years, or at the most 500 years ago. They'll try to come back and try to find out what are the names of the father, grandfather, great ancestors, their names, what they have done, and so on. What was their business, and so on. This is material because all these ancestors, they have not done anything very positive. They have simply been engaged in material activities, trying to maintain their family members and so on. But at the beginning of creation, it is very important to understand the life and activities of these great sages who were simply engaged in spiritual activities for the welfare of the entire population. So in this way, we can connect with our spiritual heritage and we can really establish our common ancestry and live very peacefully in a friendly relationship with all other members of the society. So this is the aim of this Srimad Bhagavatam, to become spiritually enlightened, become devotee of Lord Krishna, and establish friendly relationship with all of us. We can end here. Any other questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.